morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be joined by Representative Bastian, who's the sponsor of 483 that I'm going to sign in a minute. And a special pleasure for us to be joined by former Governor Mark Schweiker. It's very relevant and appropriate that Governor Schweiker be here for this. He also is here today for the official unveiling of his portrait. We scheduled these together because we wanted the governor to be here and add his voice to what is a very good occasion for the 7,500 men and women who work in Pennsylvania in our 50 coal mines throughout Pennsylvania. Coal mining is a difficult and dangerous task, as we know. We were reminded of that recently in Utah, Kentucky, and West Virginia, and of course, some 5 years ago in Pennsylvania at Q Creek. At Q Creek, thanks to the leadership of Governor Schweiker, DEP, and the Bureau of Mine Safety, I think it's fair to say that the families of the trapped miners were treated with dignity and respect, received constant communication about what was going on before it was in the media, and it was a good example for what needs to be done. But recent developments in those other incidents convinced the legislature and myself that we needed to do more. We needed to do more to guarantee that the families of miners who are trapped in mine disasters are treated with dignity, respect, constant communication, that they learn first and privately about what's going on. So this law, Bill 483, sponsored by Representative Bastian, supported by many of his colleagues. I see Senator Julia here, of course, Emilio, so many of his colleagues, requires the Department of Environmental Protection to develop a Mine Families First program. And that will lay out exactly what needs to be done under what circumstances. And just to give you an example of some of the things that 483 touches on, we are interested in family notification procedures, transportation to and from place for families to gather, security provisions to ensure privacy for family members, regular briefings to family members before the news media, to designate a 24-hour family liaison staff with family members, and to provide for interaction with service organizations for the family members. This is important legislation because all of us can imagine what families go through during that time period. It must be a horrific and staggering challenge for families during that time. And I'm glad to sign this legislation. But I also want to emphasize that the legislation that is more substantive, that will put into place things that will protect miners from ever having to be in that situation. House Bill 2229. That legislation has lingered for too long. There is no excuse for Pennsylvania not to have acted to pass its own mine safety bill. We need to get that done. It's been 2 years since the bill was introduced by Senator Sunak and others, and we need to get that bill passed and signed into law. We've talked about it, we've argued about it, we've debated it. The time for action is now. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. So as I signed 483, I urged the legislature, and I sent a letter out during the summer listing the administration's priorities for the fall. And one of our priorities is the passage of House Bill 2229, also sponsored in the House by Representative Bastian, sponsored in the Senate by Representative Kusunik. I also want to take notice of Joseph Lafoni, who is with us, the Director of Deep Mine Safety at DEP. Since Q Creek, Joe and Secretary McGinney started under Governor Schweiker, we have put in regulations, administrative regulations, that have taken a good step towards ensuring basic mine safety. But there are some things we cannot do by regulation, and we need HB 2229 passed into law. Before I sign the bill, I'm going to ask Governor Schweiker to come up and talk about the importance of this bill, because, again, he knows firsthand what the families go through. He was the communicator for us at Q Creek. He and DEP and the Bureau of Mine Safety did a great job. So Mark, we're honored to have you join us. Appreciate it.
I want to acknowledge Representative Bastian. Where the Q Creek mine is located is in Bob's district, and I can tell you, aside from the important advocacy that he provided this measure, he was there at every hour of that challenge in July of 2002. So I know that aside from his formal responsibilities as the state representative to pursue these ends, I know in his heart he's as concerned as anyone, certainly, and I feel the same way as to what's best for mine families when they're afflicted in dealing with the fact that perhaps their loved ones may not come back to the surface. I'll just mention this as we talk about families first, and it does do my heart some good because I know Senator Kasuni feels the same way. And before you finish that thought, I want to mention Joseph Buffoni too. But we couldn't have done without just a bright, dedicated public servant. Knows a good deal about how mines operate and what is of the essence and what must be accomplished quickly for mine rescue to be effective. Well, let me just remind you of something, knowing that Pennsylvania is distinguished on a lot of counts, but as far as industry, mining has been with us a long, long time. But during its development and evolution, 51,000 miners have lost their lives. It's a very dangerous occupation, as you likely know if you're born and bred in Pennsylvania. And just as a parenthetic thought, you saw what happened outside of Johannesburg in the last 12 hours gone by. They thought they were going to lose 1,500 miners because an elevator shaft wasn't working right. But 51,000 have perished in Pennsylvania. It's a very dangerous realm. And there was nothing more troubling, I think, for those families, and certainly what we experienced in July of 2002, than to A, find out that they've got real trouble down below, and then B, to find out families are an afterthought. It cannot be an afterthought. They need to be a central thought. They need to be at the top of the list of concerns. And that's how we operate in July of 2002. So let me just acknowledge and underscore the comments of Governor Rendell. Thank you, Ed, for pursuing this. The same goes for the legislature. From my standpoint, it's about time. And I do think it's also about time that the mining companies themselves interact in very effective ways with DEP to see to it that the communication protocols drive the response as much as the effort is there to provide equipment and the technical personnel to effect a rescue. So this makes a lot of sense from my standpoint. I couldn't be happier to have this combination of coming up with a portrait unveiling and to watch this be signed. Thank you.
And Representative Bastian wants to make a quick comment before we actually sign the bill. So Bob, go right out.
Just on the lighter side, Governor Schweiker, is that the same blue shirt you had for the 3 days?
Okay, Bob, thank you.
I do want to give credit to Dave Hess. He was our Secretary of DEP. Dave's back here. I appreciate his support of that. Also the Senate and the House, the environmental committees, their representatives are here. This thing got through without any negative votes in committee or on the House or the Senate floor. I give Governor Rendell a lot of credit for pushing this and for signing this. Thank you very much, Governor.